All right, so I'm going to do my best to answer some of Matt's questions here that he's had in the comment section of my other video. So just to give a little background here, this is a Mopar 318 out of an 86 car. All we did was recam it and put a Edelbrock Performer intake manifold on it. Obviously we got rid of all of the smog stuff and everything else, and we put it inside my 69 Dodge pickup here. So what was nice about the 86 engine is that the exhaust manifolds have an O2 sensor port, so that worked out really well for this particular setup. Because what we did here is we took a throttle body fuel injection system off of a Chevy 305, or it could be a 350, but not the smaller engines. And we have an adapter plate that goes to a 2-barrel carburetor, and then we have another adapter plate that goes from a 2-barrel carburetor to a 4-barrel carburetor sitting on top of our Performer manifold. So I have new spacers that are going to adapt this directly from the 4-barrel manifold to the throttle body injection, and then I'm also going to add one of those air raid. It's not an actual air raid, it's a knockoff, but the same concept, the air raid spacers that does the swirl flow right underneath the throttle body, because I think that gives better off the line performance. It helps with something like this, a big heavy truck. So anyway, so let's go through what I actually pulled. I pulled the throttle body and all the injectors and stuff. I pulled the wiring harness. You'll see here it's kind of still a mess, but it's all there. This particular wiring harness came out of a Blazer, like an 86 I want to say, or 89 Blazer. You can pull it. It would be better, frankly, probably to pull it from a 90 series Dodge truck, or Chevy truck. That's where the throttle body came from. I also pulled a temperature sensor. You can see in my Performer manifold has lots of ports, so you just add that in there. I pulled a map sensor, which is this thing right here. Eventually I'll bolt it up to something, but the map sensor measures the airflow. And then I pulled an O2 sensor. I actually ended up buying a brand new one. I also bought a brand new temp sensor because those go out. The map sensor, however, is still original. I have a spare one. I also pulled the, they call it HEI coil, and so that just means high electric something coil. Anyways, it's the Chevy coil. It's got 4 ports in the back of it, or 2 plug connectors with 2 wires coming out of it. The Distributor is a like 70s series Dodge reluctor style distributor. And what I did is, you can see right here, I went from the Dodge Distributor and then wired it over to the GM ignition module. Now there are several different ignition modules. This one has, I'll move this out of the way real quick. This particular one has 7 spades coming out of it. There's a different style that also has 7 spades. It's more of in a V shape instead of a square shape like this one. And then what I did is I went on the internet and bought a aluminum heat sink for like a computer, and then I just drilled some holes in it, tapped it so that I could put some screws in to mount that ignition module. And then you can kind of see the goop that paste that's coming out from around it. That's heat transfer paste. There are 2 different types. Don't get the adhesive type, just get the regular old paste. It doesn't actually glue anything, because if that ignition when that ignition module goes out, you'll want to change it, and then it'll be really a pain in the butt to get it off there. So I set it up so I could just unscrew those 2 screws, pop that ignition module off, and put a new one on. So after that, it was just plugging in all the different sensors into the wiring harness, and then running the wiring harness into the cab, and then running a 7747 computer off of a GM. Now, that's the same thing that Howell uses on a lot of their systems. My brother has one on his Jeep, and that's the same computer that they're using. Now, the other thing I did grab is I grabbed some of the relays out of the junkyard. This is the fuel pump relay that runs back to my fuel pump. And then I bought a cheapo fuel pump off of eBay that belongs in a 70 series Ford truck. It's a rotary vane pump. It was 20 bucks on eBay. I mean, there's better ones that cost more money that I probably would investigate first, but you might even be able to find one in a junkyard. But you just have to have enough pressure to run this thing. There's lots of websites that'll tell you all about how you can piece all this together, and that's what I did. I just went on websites and started looking. So I'm going to do a subsequent video here in a bit with it running. I'll start it up, but for right now I just wanted to give a breakdown of what I'd actually done.